Super Formula.
The best open-wheel, single-seater race series in the world.
We are racing. Action straight away. Oh no! And a massive off.
That's a disaster.
That was an incredible move. Another side-by-side action.
This is the kind of racing that we were looking for.
That's a tyre loose. Oh, a big smash! Oh, a big smash! And into the barrier.
And the safety car is out.
He goes to the outside.
And he gets the job done. Hello and welcome to round one of the 2021 Super Formula Championship from Fuji. What a place to kick off this year's championship, and what a championship it is. I maintain this is the very best single-seater series in the world, and I'm joined by Adam Christodoulou in the commentary box. Listen, Adam, it's great to have you with us. We just saw a little recap of 2020. There's been lots of changes over the winter, and I think we're set for a fantastic year's racing.
For sure. We've had rule changes for this season. There's going to be a few surprises in there as well. We've got some new rookies in there as well, and they're always eager to get involved in the action and to spice things up. And, of course, we're going to some of the best tracks in the world as well.
Lots to look forward to in 2021. But for those of you who are new to the sport, here's a little introduction into Super Formula.
Super Formula, I think, is one of the most competitive championships in the single-seater world.
スーパーフォーミュラの特徴は、特にコーナーリングスピードが F1 に匹敵すると言われるほど速く、
日本一世界を見てもトップクラスのレースのカテゴリーであると思います。他のカテゴリーと違ってっていうところで言いますと、まずモノコックというか競技車両が統一ですので、レベルがすごく拮抗しやすい。
ドライバーの技量やチーム力、そういうものがとてもはっきりと出るので、とても競争力の高いシリーズになっています。
The physical and mental training is very demanding. The G forces are up to 4-5 Gs, which for your neck is around 30 to 40 kilos, so it demands a lot of training. Everything comes at you very quickly. You need to be able to share your attention because your engineer is talking to you. You are racing against other 20 to 22 drivers, and you're traveling 300 plus kilometers an hour. So you need to be very quick and reactions and with your mind. So this is something we train as well as drivers.
今シーズンの目標は、もちろんチャンピオンです。やっぱり、スーパーフォーミュラのチャンピオンっていうのは、一番速い人の、証明にもなるので、もう取りたいです。
チャンピオンを取ることによって、自分自身が次のステージに行けると思っています。チャンピオンを取るっていう気持ちを忘れることなく、今シーズン1年通して戦っていきたいなと思います。
とにかく一発の速さっていうのを、今年はとことん追求していきたいと思ってます。優勝、そしてシリーズタイトル獲得を目指して戦っていきます。
The level is so high that you don't know who can win, and I think that's very interesting. But of course, Yamamoto is a Super GT and Super Formula champion last year, so for sure he's the one to watch.
So there you go. That's what Super Formula is all about. And I think, Adam, the key thing that we need to take from that is what Tomoki Nojiri was saying, that this is essentially a one-make series. You know, it's the same chassis. Everyone's using the same chassis. The only difference is really is in the power units. You can use a Honda engine or a Toyota engine.
Exactly. The cars all weigh the same. They're all 670 kilos. And it is just the power of the Titans who has got the stronger unit. And right now, it seems that the Honda just has the edge around this track. And so the thing is, it can change at any circuit. And so we just have to see how it plays in the race as well.
Yeah, the Honda unit's absolutely singing around Fuji, and I think as well, because it's almost like a single make series. As I said, everyone's using the same chassis. It's how you work with the engineers and how you get the car dialed in, and your relationship with your engineers, and how you're able to interpret data as well to get the car hooked up. So important in Super Formula. Now, we heard Tatiana Calderon just talking about Naoki Yamamoto, the man who secured the 2020 Super Formula Championship. He hasn't had it all his own way in qualifying, but he's still hungry to get the job done this year.
昨年1年間は、おかげさまでチャンピオンを獲得することができて、自身3度目ということで、非常にいい1年だったなと思っています。
He is a 3 times Super Formula champion, Naoki Yamamoto.
自分のまた価値と評価を上げるべくチームを移籍して、新たな発見もあると思い、今シーズンの移籍に至ったんですけども。早くこのチームで優勝したいなと思っています。今シーズンライバルになるのはやはり、平川選手は筆頭になるでしょうし、またチームは変わってしまったんですけども、チャンピオン獲得、もうそれに全力を注ぎたいなと思っています。
Well, Naoki Yamamoto likes a challenge, doesn't he? Listen, very quickly, we've got to talk about this. Why has he moved from Dandelion Racing, which is a team that's well established in Super Formula? He's won the championship with them to move to Nakajima. And as I was just saying, you've got to start again. You've got to build a relationship with your engineers, build a relationship with the team, and that takes a while to get going. And so far, certainly in pre-season testing and in qualifying, which we'll get to shortly, he's been off the pace.
Exactly, it hasn't quite gone his way just yet, but as you said, he's done it in the past. He's raced for 2 different teams. He's won the championship 3 times now. There's no reason why he can't do it again, but it just hasn't quite gelled yet. So I think in the end, like last year, he didn't have the most fiery starts last year, but in the end he didn't crack, and he came away with the championship. So maybe round 1 might not go to or isn't quite going to plan at the moment, but I think he's going to definitely be there at some point.
Ultimately, it comes down to experience, and he's got plenty of that, as has Ryo Hirakawa, the man he said he'll be fighting with this year.
My season in 2020, first 3 races, I was quite good.
And that is victory for Ryo Hirakawa here at Motegi.
But then I had some mistake. Was disappointed because I dropped too much, so it was not enough for championship.
Oh, a big smash! Oh, a big smash! That is another win for Yamamoto.
My memorable moment last year was Fuji. Last race, me, Yamamoto and Nojiri were fighting for championship. All the race, all the lap, I was behind Yamamoto. At the time, Nojiri was going to win the championship, but then he had an issue, then he dropped. And then after that, I was just me and Yamamoto.
We are watching the fight for the championship between Naoki Yamamoto and Ryo Hirakawa.
A quite tough race because even I have overtake system, OTS, it was really difficult to pass. I will try to race more consistent. Many drivers will be strong, but I try my best, and my target is winning championship.
So there you go, Naoki Yamamoto and Ryo Hirakawa. I think they're going to be fighting with themselves throughout 2021. But Adam, listen, there's so many new rookies coming in, and you see it so often in motorsport when a young driver gets given an opportunity, particularly in something like Super Formula, a high-flying series like this. They're so hungry to succeed, and I don't think Yamamoto or Hirakawa can take their eyes off those young hotshots coming through.
You're right, we got 5 new rookies, and we've got 4 of them in the top 8, and these guys are just going to grab it by the horns and see what they can get out of it. At the end of the day, they want to make an impression, and they've been at the top of their game in other categories. They're new to this one, so of course we might see one or two little mistakes, but also at the same time, they're probably only going to get quicker and quicker as the season goes on. Yeah, it's going to be one hell of a season in the Super Formula. Now, for those of you who missed qualifying yesterday, shame on you, but don't worry. Here is a quick recap of what happened. The first Super Formula qualifying session of 2021, and as ever, it lived up to its reputation, carrying over the same knockout format as last year, starting with Q1 Group A. 9 cars on track, only 7 made it through to Q2, and perhaps the biggest news of qualifying, 2020 Super Formula champion Naoki Yamamoto, having moved over to Nakajima Racing this year, knocked out, along with Kondo Racing's Kenta Yamashita. Instead, it was Hiroki Otsu in the Red Bull Mugen car who was setting the pace, 0.03 of a second quicker than the Dandelion Racing car of Nirai Fukusumi. On to Q1 Group B, and Team Mugen continued to dominate. This time it was Tomoki Nojiri setting the pace, the only man to break into the 121s. Controversially, Naoki Yamamoto's Nakajima Racing teammate Toshiki Oyu, second fastest of the group and safely through to Q2. Meanwhile, the remaining Kondo Racing car of Yuichi Nakayama also out, along with Kazuya Oshima. Not the start of the year Kondo were looking for. Q2, and once again, Tomoki Nojiri, the man to beat, topping the timesheets to progress to qualifying 3 ahead of Toshiki Oyu, and the man who took the championship fight to the wire last year, Ryo Hirakawa. The big surprise though, 2020 Fuji race winner Sho Tsuboi only managing 11th fastest, and his afternoon was brought to an abrupt end. Late drama followed as Kazuki Nakajima was penalised for exceeding track limits, which meant Hiroki Otsu progressed on to Q3. With just one session to run and 8 cars in the shootout for pole position of today's race, all eyes were on Tomoki Nojiri, and he duly delivered. Consistently 0.2 quicker than anyone else throughout the qualifying sessions, and that gap did not change in Q3, putting the Mugen car on pole, 0.2 clear of Nakajima Racing's Toshiki Oyu, with both the Docomo Team Dandelion cars locking out row 2, Ryo Hirakawa only managing 7th fastest. So this is how they line up for today's race. Tomoki Nojiri goes off pole, alongside him Toshiki Oyu in the first of the Nakajima Racing cars. Then it's a Dandelion Racing lockout. Ukyo Sasahara off grid 3 with his teammate Nirai Fukusumi alongside him off 4. Then comes Sena Sakaguchi, great qualifying session for him in the first of the Ingin cars. Alongside him, Rutomo Miyata moving down the grid. Ryo Hirakawa goes off grid 7. Remember, he was the man who was fighting for the championship last year. Alongside him, Hiroki Otsu in the second of the Mugen cars. Then comes Yui Sekaguchi, and alongside him Sho Tsuboi leaving grid 10. Disappointing qualifying session for him. Tatiana Calderon 11th, and Yuji Kunimoto leaving off grid 12. Kazuki Nakajima, grid 13, and alongside him Kazuto Kataka standing in for Kamui Kobayashi this weekend. Then Yuichi Nakayama, followed by Naoki Yamamoto. He's got some work to do this afternoon. Then Kazuya Oshima and Kenta Yamashita closes out the grid. So that's how things stack up for this afternoon's race. And really, for me, I think it's Tomoki Nojiri's to lose. But we are being told potentially we might see a little bit of rain. So lots to look forward to in this afternoon's race. But for sure, Tomoki Nojiri setting the pace. And of course, qualifying is available to go back and watch on Red Bull TV. It's worth doing so just to catch the onboard of Nojiri. That car looks so planted. Now, Fuji Speedway is Japan's cathedral of speed. And this is a driver's eye view. It's a demanding lap here at the Fuji International Speedway. Just over 4.5 kilometres in total, 16 corners and 41 laps to complete this year, giving us a total race distance of just over 187 kilometres. He made his Super Formula debut at Fuji last year and returns full-time this year in the Red Bull Mugen car. Let's ride on board with Honda protege Hiroki Otsu.
down the long main straight, flat in 6th gear, looking for his braking point from 185 miles an hour, down to 2nd and picking up the apex, getting a good clean exit back up through the gearbox as we head uphill into turns 2 and 3. A fast 5th gear left-hander, just a little lift on the way in and then straight into the never-ending 100R, balancing the car on the throttle, being patient and dragging it back over to the right-hand side of the circuit, down 2 gears for the hairpin, neatly picking up the apex and letting the car run on the way out, burying the throttle up the box into 6th before a heavy braking zone from 165 miles an hour for the slowest corner of the lap, down to 2nd, sacrificing entry speed for a clean line through turns 11 and 12 before we head into the tricky turn 13. Look at the camber of the circuit. Let the car roll away using all the rumble strips on the way out. We're nearly there, heading uphill through turns 14 and 15 and into the final corner. It's a deceptively late turn in, using the camber to help get the car pointed at the apex and then back onto the main straight. At nearly a mile long, carrying good exit speed is absolutely critical to a clean lap here in Fuji before it's back into turn 1 to do it all again. So there you go, a lap of Fuji Speedway as we join the formation lap live here at Fuji. And you can see the skies above the circuit getting greyer and greyer. Rain forecast within the next 40 minutes. So whether or not that turns up will have a significant impact. But at the moment we are on slicks. We are going racing in the dry. Just to reconfirm the grid layout, Tomoki Nojiri leads the car away alongside Toshiki Oyu. Then comes Ukyo Sasahara alongside Niroi Fukutsumi in both the Dandelion cars. Senna Sakaguchi, great qualifying session from him in the Ingen car. Rutomo Miyata, another man who's had a fantastic qualifying session yesterday in the Tom's car. He's then got Ryo Hirakawa, Hiroki Otsu in the second of the Mugen cars, Yui Sakaguchi and Sho Tsuboi, the man who won here last year, rounding out the top 10. Our champion, Naoki Yamamoto, starting 16th. Adam, so important, as we were talking about yesterday in qualifying, the formation lap, is that you get a bit of heat into these tyres. As you're going round, you'll be on and off the brakes, trying to turn the brakes into, they're almost like an oven that transfer heat into the tyre, and they give you that heat, and they give you that confidence going into turn 1.
Exactly. So during the formation lap, you really want to be working the brakes and the tyres. Just whatever heat you can get into these. This is going to be key for getting a good launch off the start as well. We've got 4 new rookies in the top 8, and so I think it's going to be interesting to see how they get on. This is going to be their first race start in Super Formula, so finding that biting point as well is also going to be extremely important to get the launch. It's quite a long run down to turn 1 and it goes into the hairpin, so it could get a little tasty down there, I think.
It always does get a little bit hairy going into turn 1. As Adam said, a long run. The main straight here at Fuji's just under a mile long. Now you can see Tomoki Nojiri's already lined up on the grid as on pole. And he's sat there, and all the heat that he's generated in those tyres and those brakes is just dissipating away. The clutch will be burning. It'll be desperate for everybody to get on the grid, take up their grid position as quickly as possible. And it's a bit of a tactic. There'll be drivers towards the back who will be quite happy to get slower onto the grid. And one man who will definitely be doing that is Naoki Yamamoto, knowing that everybody at the front is losing tyre heat. Nojiri will be looking for those lights to come on, those red lights to come on as quickly as possible, knowing that he'll be able to get going. There we go, the last of the Kendo racing cars lining up at the back. We are looking for the red lights. The marshal will run to the back. Once he's happy, we'll see the green flag wave, and at that point, we'll see red lights come on. There's the green flag, so keep an eye on the lights. There we go. 3, 4, 5. When they go out, we are racing in 2021. Super Formula is go. Fantastic start from Kazuki Nakajima further back, and Oyu has got the jump on Nojiri into turn 1. At the moment, everybody through cleanly as they funnel through downhill. Just see one of the Ingin cars. I think it's one of the Ingin cars running wide, but it is Oyu who leads. Nojiri fighting back, trying to look up the inside going into turn 4. Clean through. You see one of the Impul cars getting just getting out of shape. There's someone off in the background. And that's Nakajima's gone off. And a puncture as well for one of the Impul cars. So it's all kicking off here at round 1 Fuji Super Formula. Our race leader, Toshiki Oyu, followed by Tomoki Nojiri. And we can see the Dandelion cars. Sena Sakaguchi currently in 5th, and Ukyo Sasahara just having a look at Nirai Fukutsumi, who's got the jump on him at the start as well. A good start too from Hiroki Otsu, up to 5th. Someone else off in the background.
Man, that was quite an intense first lap. It looked like they all bunched up going into turn 1. Obviously, there's a little bit of contact, and I think one of the front wings just caught the back of Yashishita as rear left wheel, and that's just unfortunately deflated that. We might have a bit of wing damage as well somewhere.
Hiroki Otsu coming under pressure from Sho Tsuboi. Otsu just locking a front tyre. You don't want to be doing that this early in the race. You flat spot one of those and you get a horrible vibration. But at the moment, Sho Tsuboi, you just saw a little bit of
wing damage.
Front wing damage on Otsu's car. And Adam, that has a massive effect on downforce.
That's huge, and the thing is, he's going to have to pit. There is no way you can continue like that. If that thing falls off and goes under the front wheels, you are going straight on at the next braking zone or around the corner. So he's going to have to pit, and that's just going to drop him all the way down to the back of the grid now. Massive
shame for Hiroki Otsu, who did make a superb start, but you can just see he's just getting eaten alive in the high downforce place. You showed Tsuboi went right round the outside of him, and there's Ryo Hirakawa sticking it up the inside, and a great move too from Naoki Yamamoto. I think Yuji Kunamoto as well up to 7th, but Yamamoto, when he crossed the line, he was already up to 10th. So a great start from Yamamoto, who as well, it's worth pointing out, was quickest in free practice this morning. So have the Nakajima boys been able to dial some pace into that car? There's Otsu, you can just see the front right, the wing hanging off. He'll be getting across and getting into the pit lane.
He's going to be pitting, but also he's not in the pit window either, so he's going to have to pit again later on, which is a real shame. So slow car also coming into the pits.
That's Yui Sakaguchi in the second of the Impul cars. And that's Ryo Hirakawa shoving it down the inside of Yuji Kunamoto. So Hirakawa up to 6th.
So we've got a battle going on here for, here we go, looking at, we're having a wing change. So that is a quick change. Genetic wing on all the cars, so it's taking a little longer than expected.
Yeah, that's almost race. I would say that's race over for Otsu. This is going to turn into a glorified qualifying session. The only thing that will work in his favour now is if the heavens open. And there is Sakaguchi, who picked up a rear right puncture on lap 1. Disaster for him as well.
Already a lap down as well, so we either need some rain or a safety car.
Well, that's certainly, and safety cars aren't uncommon in Super Formula. We see them regularly as Otsu rejoins with a new wing, and really all he can do now is pound round and set as many fastest laps as he can and pray for rain. You can see the leaders already coming through in the background. Currently, Toshiki Oyu, who was leading.
With it being such a short lap, of course, it means that if you do end up having to pit, you lose a lot of time percentage-wise to the length of the circuit. It's only a 1 minute 23, 24 lap time in the race. In qualifying, we saw the times go all the way down to 1:21. Didn't quite beat last year's qualifying pace, but you can see
Ritomo Miyata shoving it down the inside. Sena Sakaguchi, the Ingin car, so Miyata on the move.
One of the new rules for this year is we get 200 seconds of the OTS system, that's the overtaking system, versus the 100 from last year. When it flashes, these guys are finger on the button and they're getting an extra 10% power to help slingshot them past. You can use it at any point for a minimum of 1 second, and the car in front will only be able to see that flashing light once they get halfway down the straight to stop them trying to react.
Action from the off here at Fuji, and it comes as no surprise. But at the moment, it's Toshiki Oyu who, when he crossed the line on the last lap, was leading Tomoki Nojiri by 2.2 seconds. And his teammate, Naoki Yamamoto, who, remember, started down in 16th, up to 8th already. So a great start from Yamamoto, but it's this man at the moment, Toshiki Oyu, leading here in Fuji in the Nakajima car. The gap just coming down slightly, 1.9. So Nojiri just pulling back 0.3 of a second. The two Dandelion cars, Nirai Fukatsumi 3rd and 4th. Sasahara 4th at the moment.
Yamamoto must have had a blinding start. He just seems to be cutting through the pack right now, and this is where the experience is coming in, and he stayed out of trouble and he's just chipping away.
Real shame for Hiroki Otsu. Right, let's take a look at the start. Here's a replay. Great start from Kazuki Nakajima. Got the jump instantly, didn't he? You can see Yuhi Sekaguchi on the outside. Another good start from him. I'm just trying to see where Otsu picked up that damage.
Was that it? Was that turn 1 there?
That's into turn 1. I don't think so. Keep an eye on.
4th row, he's gone on the inside now. He's got a...
You can see Yamamoto just on the inside and dives across to the outside.
There we go, there was the hit right at the apex of turn 1. Just couldn't quite get it turned, got pinched by the outside car from the Impul car, and there was the contact, and that was enough to give a puncher. And you can see now we're on board with the Impul car. Oh no.
This is Ryo Hirakawa in his Impul car, yeah.
We've already got the puncher heading into turn 2.
That's his teammate. You can see Yui Sekaguchi. In fact, Hirakawa lost... Oh, that was Kazuki Nakajima going off, but Hirakawa getting caught up behind his own teammate, Sekaguchi, and that cost him a place. Nakajima, by the looks of things, just got it all wrong, trying to avoid Sekaguchi.
So everyone's now settled in, so they're now going to be reserving their 200 seconds of the OTS system. You can see the green light when it's solid. They're saving it. When it's flashing, that is when they're using it. Once there is only 20 seconds of their OTS remaining, it will be red. And so we'll only see that towards the end of the race.
Still no rain here at Fuji, but we are potentially expecting it.
There's a long race to go. We're only 6 laps in. We've got a 41 lap race today.
41 laps or a 75-minute cut-off, whatever comes first. So a long, long way to go. I'm being told that there is a slight spit of rain. Nothing that'll be too much of an issue at the moment. And when you've got these tyres up to temperature, obviously if it's pouring rain, then you know as soon as you lose temperature, they become almost undrivable. But if there is a little bit of spit there, you can still lean on the slick tyre. But as soon as it starts to pour down, obviously we'll see everybody diving into the pits. At the moment, Tomoki Nojiri, the man who absolutely dominated qualifying yesterday, in 2nd behind Toshiki Oyu. The gap comes down again to 1.4.
And regarding the strategy with the tyres, they've got to do a mandatory stop for a 2nd set of slicks unless it starts to rain and they declare it a wet race, and that can change a few things. It's going to be one of those situations where you're going to want to stay on the tyre for as long as possible, because if it does rain and they declare wet, you do not want to have already pitted for the slicks, because then that is just a huge disadvantage, having to pit again for another set of tyres.
Yeah, with that in mind, I suspect that we're going to see all the teams and drivers staying out as long as possible. Everybody will be assuming that this rain is coming. I'm told there's an 80% chance as the race progresses that we will see rain. So as Adam said, you don't want to pit once the pit window opens on lap 10. You don't want to pit and then have to come in again a few laps later for a set of wets. And we know that these Yokohama tyres, they have a fantastic performance window. They last a long, long time. Even on a circuit like this, which is high downforce. I mean, Fuji is a harsh circuit on the tyre, Adam.
Yeah, for sure, and it's going to be that turn 4 and 5, that 100R complex. When you are hard on the power and you're balancing on the edge there, that is where it's going to take the life out of the tyre. And so this is where we really need to be looking after the tyre. But of course, it does also give you an opportunity into turn 6 if you can run close enough to the car in front. We've got quite a good braking zone into turn 6, and after the high-speed turn 5.
We complete another lap here in Fuji. And that gap has come down to 9/10 of a second between Oyu and Nojiri, and Ryo Hirakawa hassling Sho Tsuboi in the Ingin car. This is where you get caught in the dirty air. So that car in front, which is in nice clean air, so that Sho Tsuboi is in nice clean air. He's getting the full effect of downforce. Bit of understeer on the way through the corner.
You can see the pickup on the inside tyre as we were going through the 100R complex as well. So we'll see if we can see that on the next lap as well. It's getting pretty close now. So we've got the green light on through the corners. Obviously, you're going to save as much power as you can. The best time to get on the power with the OTS is going to be coming out of the corners. If you can accelerate up to top speed faster, this is where you'll get that advantage.
Kazuyoshi, yeah, the boss of Impel Racing, a man who himself has raced in Super Formula, well, not Super Formula, but when it was Japanese, I suppose Japanese Formula 3000 way back in the day. Very successful Japanese racing driver. Now in charge of Team Impel. That gap down to 7/10 of a second now. You can see that Tomoki Nojiri starting to hassle Toshiki Oyu. Sho Tsuboi just on the OTS, keeping Ryo Hirakawa behind him.
Pit window opens on the next lap, but unless you are running into issues, we're assuming that we're going to be seeing them staying out there for as long as possible.
Yeah, just going back to what I was saying about when you're stuck in the dirty air of the car behind. When you're driving a car and you've got nothing in front of you and you're punching a hole of air and you've got all of that weight of fresh air pushing down the car, you get the full effect of downforce. Ryo Hirakawa right now hasn't got that, as he's got to run on Sho Tsuboi, and he's going to get the job done there. Sticks it up the inside into one of the only overtaking opportunities here in Fuji, down into turn 10. Now the question is, he needs to get his head down and get after Ukyo Sasahara.
The real hotspots for the overtakes around here are going to be turn 1 and turn 10. These are the two corners leading off the two longest straights, and that's where you're going to have your best opportunity. But the car in front can defend fairly easily going into turn 10 as it tightens up into 11 and 12. Into turn 1 is going to be a bit of a different situation.
We'll see it again. Tsuboi just caught napping. He did try and defend, but Hirakawa already had his nose up the inside. Just got a fantastic run through turn 9 and already starting to scamper away.
So now he's got that clean air. He's going to be pushing as hard as he can through the corners. Of course, he's going to maximise the downforce that he's got, but he will be a little bit slower on the straights now.
The big winners so far, Naoki Yamamoto has picked off 8 positions already. Kenta Yamashita, who started plumb last in 18th up to 11th, so he's picked off 7 people. You can see there the gap has come way down as we look at Oyu goes defensive. Nojiri round the outside, and he makes it stick. What a move.
That was close.
Part of me so much confidence on the brakes to make it stick around the outside, knowing that he's got the inside into the next corner. Tomoki Nojiri retakes the lead.
He was the quickest driver yesterday, and part of me was thinking, is he playing strategy here? Is he just staying in second and waiting for Oyu just burn the OTS and run out towards the end, and will he attack towards the end of the race? But it seems that he is now pushing, and he is going to try and make that gap and extend it with the pace that he had yesterday.
Down in the pit lane, I think somebody's coming in. The beauty of Tomoki Nojiri now is that he is out front. Now, when he was stuck behind Oyu, he was in that dirty air, so he was relying on the tyres more. When you don't get the full effect of downforce, here we go. Wait, keep an eye on the outside to the left of the screen. You're going to see that Mugen car appear. Look at that, just clean past him, didn't he?
Nicely done. And then as it swoops over to the left, of course, the corner is his, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's a surprise, so unless we got a flat spot here, or
Naoki Yamamoto, our champion, into the pits for a tyre change.
Oh, we got a problem. Rear left.
Rear left doesn't want to go on.
Oh.
This is so frustrating. He'll just be begging for that. Come on, come on, come on, get it on. There we go.
As a driver, that is, well, as a driver or a team, that is the last thing that you want to happen. And how frustrating, because he'd done so well coming through the pack.
Interesting time to change tyres. I mean, it's the pit window now open. Is that strategy? He'll be praying now, absolutely praying that the rain doesn't come. Oh, no, there's something wrong there. That looked to me like he, I mean, maybe he just got a big, there's no tyre warmers.
No, something's not right.
Right there. Yeah, it looked like he got a massive dolloper wheel spin coming out of the pit lane, but he couldn't get the car turned in.
Saying that, we don't have tyre warmers for this championship, so of course you have to be careful how you tiptoe around the first few corners until there's a little bit of heat in them. Maybe they're just a little bit colder than he expected.
We'll keep an eye on Naoki Yamamoto's outlap, but it looked to me like he could get that car turned in. It could just be, as we look at Tatiana Calderon coming under pressure from Yuichi Nakayama, sticks it around the outside, runs out of road. That was never going to work. Calderon made him work for it as well. This is the battle for 11th place.
No, it's perfectly positioned. She stayed on the inside and just washed out a little bit, used the maximum amount of the track, and that meant that he had to get on the power just a little sooner, but he just ran out of tarmac and wasn't able to complete the move.
Great start to the year for Tatiana Calderon, making it through to Q2 for the first time yesterday and knocking on the door of a top 10 finish at the moment, currently running in 11th.
As a single car team, it's not easy running on your own. You've only got your own data and video to work off, and when you've got a two-car team, you can test twice as much generally during all the practice, so they've definitely got their work cut out, but so far this season it looks like in the qualifying yesterday it's worked out, and the pre-season testing's gone well.
Back with our race leaders, Tomoki Nojiri completes another lap here in Fuji, and Toshiki Oyu now starting to drop away.
It's extending that gap, so it seems like he's dropping now. It seems like he's dropping back a little bit, and P3 and 4 are closing that gap.
Yeah, Toshiki Oyu just dropping away from Tomoki Nojiri, and going back to what we were saying earlier, Nojiri now has that clean air. He's got full effect of downforce, and we saw yesterday how he was able to make that Mugen car work for him. The Hondas just seem to be a little bit stronger at Fuji, don't they? Look at the clouds. That looks a bit grey to me, Adam, and the drivers will be saying. And when you, as a driver, when you've got a clear visor on, at the speeds you're doing, if it's starting to spit, you don't actually know. It hits the visor and dries instantly. So it's not until you get full rain, and it's very easy to get caught out as well. So unless the heavens open, you won't know, and they'll be on the radio to the team.
Exactly. What you'll start to see is there'll be a clear line around the track where it is starting to get a little damp, and as you drive over it, you'll just leave two little marks, and that's one of the first things that you end up looking for. At that point, you also have to start avoiding the curbs, because any white lines or curbs will feel like ice.
Yeah, it's that hot, it's paint, it's wet paint. You get on it and it is horrible. And that comes up through our days in karting, right through to Formula One. It doesn't make a difference. The physics haven't changed. Doesn't matter if you're in a kart or a Formula One car. You get on the white lines or the rumble strips where the paint is in the wet, and
you're either going to lock up or you're going to wheel spin. And if it's not gripping, if it's not, I messed that up. If it's slipping, it's not gripping even.
If it's slipping, it's not gripping. There we go. We look at Ritomo Miyata just making a move on Senna Sakaguchi for eighth position. Sakaguchi fighting back.
On the defence.
It's not going to work for him.
Had to be a little careful, but he should now be able to. He should be safe through here. The car behind will get a little bit of aero wash. He's having to stay out of the dirty air, which means he's travelling a further distance around the corner, and now he's safe.
His best bet is down into turn 10. Get a clean run through 8 and 9. He's not close enough. He'll just be starting to pick up the slipstream now. It's going to be, no, he's not close enough. So Miyata at the moment has picked off 8th position.
Are you slowly dropping back? He's losing a tenth to Nojiri, and the guys behind him, P3 and 4, are 2 tenths, 3 tenths a lap quicker than him at the moment. So unless he's saving his OTS for later on in the race, it looks like he might be struggling a little bit.
Fastest lap of the race so far to Tomoki Nojiri with a 1:24 dead. Remember, we're running much more fuel than we were in qualifying yesterday when Nojiri stuck it into the 1:21. So we're running around 3 seconds a lap slower, but the car's obviously much, much heavier, and it's all about tyre preservation.
Exactly. So later on, once we get through the pit stops and there's less fuel in the car, then the lap times will start to drop down quicker and quicker. But it'll almost be the longer you stay out on this current tyre, the faster you will be able to go at the very end of the race. But it all also depends on the weather, what's going to happen. These guys that haven't pitted yet, they're just, I believe they'll stay out for as long as possible. If that was me, that's what I'd be doing right now until you start to get any tyre day.
Nirai Fukatsumi in the last lap going over a tenth quicker than Toshiki Oyu, so he is finding time and he is closing that gap as Tomoki Nojiri starts to scamper away. There is Naoki Yamamoto. Remember, he pitted early on, currently down in 17th place. He had done all the work and he was up into 8th, chose to pit early. Doesn't have to pit again in this race. When everybody else comes in, that's when you'll see Yamamoto really jump on it. But if it rains, it would have been an unnecessary pit stop. And I think as well, look, we were talking about Yamamoto coming out of the pits and that car potentially having a problem. To me, that looks absolutely fine now, but it has given us an indication of what that cold tyre is like, or a new set of tyres and the cold tyre is like on lap 1, on your out lap after pitting.
Exactly, we saw that with a little bit of twitchiness as he exited the pits. Obviously, they put down their 550 horsepower, and of course, as he went into turn 1, he didn't have a lockup, but he just couldn't get that thing stopped or turned. But it looks like Oyu has now reacted. He's just gone green sector 2 and he's just posted his fastest lap.
A great start to the year in Super Formula, and at the moment it is Tomoki Nojiri who leads. He didn't get the best of starts. Toshiki Oyu absolutely scampered off the line. He got his Nakajima racing car hooked up, stuck it down the inside and led for the first 8 or 9 laps, but since then Tomoki Nojiri in complete control of this race. With every wide shot, I'm not looking at what's going on the track, I'm looking at the skies to see whether or not that rain is getting any closer.
You'll be able to tell as well, like even if we can't see it on the camera, you might see 1 or 2 of the guys around the circuit, or the marshals with their umbrellas getting ready.
Naoki Yamamoto, the only man into the 123s at the moment. His last lap, a 123.476, which is 6/10 of a lap quicker than Tomoki Nojiri. So at the moment, Yamamoto has properly got the hammer down.
Exactly, that's the quickest pace it's almost felt like it's had all weekend, and so maybe they found something between qualifying and now. Maybe there's a little issue with the car, or maybe it was just something he wasn't happy with, but he definitely seems to be motoring forwards now. Obviously, he's pitted early, so we're going to have to wait for all the pit stops to cycle through to see where he ends up. Maybe it's strategy. He's got clear air now, so he can just push every lap.
Well, it's working for him at the moment. As I said, a 123.476 for Naoki Yamamoto, currently down in 17th place, but has stopped already as soon as the pit window opened.
That's over half a second quicker than anyone else right now.
Yeah, massive pace. The only man into the 23s. Nojiri's best lap at the moment, a 124 dead. It's such a physically demanding circuit, Fuji. It's so tight. I mean, it's so high downforce, and believe me, it absolutely rips your neck off. You've got to have such strong neck muscles. You've got to work incredibly hard on your fitness to be able to complete, full race distance in Super Formula. It is tough on the body. Adrenaline gets you through, but you've got to be ultra fit to drive one of these cars.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you're pulling over 4Gs, so you got to think about it with a helmet on. Your head weighs about 10 kilos, so as you're going around some of these corners, you're pulling over 40 kilos of force on your neck, and that is not easy. Quite an easy pass there. We used the OTS. You saw the green flashing light, so nicely executed there. Let's see whether can get a clean run on the next lap.
Ritomo Miyata, yeah, making a pass on Yuji Kunimoto. Can he keep him behind? At the moment, it's all looking good. His next, Kunimoto's only opportunity to respond will be down into turn 10, but already looks pulling away. And that is the advantage, particularly around 100R, which is a very high downforce corner. That's the advantage of being in the clean air. If you're stuck behind a car around there, you don't have as much downforce, which means you don't have as much grip. And around a high-speed corner, that's when you see the car in front just start to pull away. And that's a prime example of that. Miata already scampering away, and it already looks like Sakaguchi's closing the gap on Kunimoto. I've been really impressed with Sakaguchi so far. He had a fantastic qualifying session in for Inging this year. Currently running in 9th place. Stuck it on, he qualified 5th fastest, he's down in 9th, so he's got a bit of work to do, but again, it all comes down to experience, and we talk about qualifying pace and race pace, and there is, of course, you know, drivers are sometimes more confident in qualifying than they are in the race, and Sakaguchi with a little bit of work to do. 9th position doesn't reflect his true pace. You can see there the Kondo cars that really struggled in qualifying. Kenta Yamashita up 8 places as we look at Sakaguchi. Putting the pressure on Yuji Kunimoto's KCMG.
So in P4 we've got Shishara. He is our top rookie at the moment, but of course this can easily change as the race goes on. For them, it's going to be new having to pit and have that second set of tyres. You don't want to work the tyre too hard, and of course we are now halfway through the race, and they're going to probably be pitting. Cars will be pitting in the next 10 laps, I think.
This is so frustrating for Sho Tsuboi, because in the first half of the lap he's much quicker.
And he was last year's winner, so it's not like he doesn't know how to drive around this place. He was super quick last year, qualified 2nd, and ended up going away with the win.
Yeah, sorry, we were just looking at Senna Sakaguchi. I was just saying he's much quicker than Yuji Kunimoto in the first half of the lap, but it's in the second half of the lap where Kunimoto pulls away. So here we go. Can Sakaguchi, he'll get on the OTS down the main straight and try and reel him in. So this is the fight for 2nd position. Toshiki Oyu coming under pressure from Nirai Fukutsumi. Remember, Oyu was our early leader. Now there's only 0.6 of a second to choose between them, so...
He definitely, from the pace that he started off with, he must have got a blistering start, and in the end, maybe he's worked the tyre a little bit too hard, because I feel like he's under pressure right now.
Well, getting back to the fight between Sakaguchi, it's now Sakaguchi who's coming under pressure from Kenta Yamashita. So did Sakaguchi make a mistake? Because the last time we saw him, he was all over the back of Yuji Kunimoto, but now he's slipped into the clutches of Kenta Yamashita's Kondo racing car. Kazuki Nakajima has stopped, so he'll have had his mandatory tyre change, and he's back out. But now Sakaguchi, who was putting a move on Kunimoto, has now got Kenta Yamashita in his mirrors, and he's having to go defensive, and that will work for Yuji Kunimoto, who can get his head down and try to pull away.
You can see going into turn 10 he was using the OTS, and this is just to get him close enough so that hopefully he'll be aiming to come out of turn 16, the final corner, and try and slingshot him down the next straight. But of course the driver in front can also react to that and press their OTS, but you don't want to run out too soon. You've got your 200 seconds of extra boost, and you don't want to be getting to the last 5 laps with nothing left.
I wonder, will we see Sakaguchi come into the pits soon, because he's been held up behind Yuji Kunimoto, and he's now having to go defensive from Kenta Yamashita, and his pace has dropped off. He's stuck in this sandwich, hasn't been able to get past Kunimoto, and now he's having to defend from Kenta Yamashita. This would be the ideal time for Sakaguchi to get into the pits and you know, make his mandatory pit stop, get out of this sandwich that he's in, get into some clean air and start banging in some quick times. We are back with our race leader, Tomoki Najiri. His quickest so far, a 1:23.948, so he has broken into the 23s. The only other driver to do so at the moment is Naoki Yamamoto. His quickest so far, a 23.476. Yamamoto up to 15th now. Remember, he did make that stop.
Najiri's managed to get himself a nice little gap. He's now got 3.7 seconds, and if he's still got his OTS as well, then that's going to be a good advantage for the end of the race. He had the pace yesterday, and it looks like he's got the pace today.
Well, Fukusumi on the OTS, closes right up behind Toshiki Oyu, goes to the outside. Can he outbrake him? He's going to leave it there. Oyu will run him wide. He's giving him plenty of space. Good. Now this will be up the inside, going into the fast left-hander here, and for me, he's got that job done. Oshiki shuts the door.
Wow, that was a surprise. I really thought he'd completed that, but I suppose just having the slightly shorter distance through turn 2 just gave him the edge, and he was still ahead. I thought he'd got his nose in there enough that the position was his.
It was brave of Oyu to close the door on him there, because he was relying on Fukatsumi getting on the brakes and giving him the space. It was good, clean racing from Toshiki Oyu and Nirai Fukatsumi.
As a driver, you got to have the trust and respect for everyone around you, and of course it's one of those things that you can see by their experience that they know not just to close the door on each other and to have that contact. Like, in the end, this is round 1 of a 7-round championship. We've got 5 rounds counting for the championship, but you don't want to throw any of those away. So now he needs to get his head back down, try and get close, and have another go on the next lap.
Tomoki Najiri extends his lead to 3.9 seconds.
But we are now starting to catch up a few back markers, and this could also come into play. The thing is, the guys in front, they've already pitted. With it being such a short lap, a pit stop does drop you back quite a long time. So it's one of those that, okay, they've pitted early, but are they going to end up running into tyre issues later on?
Sakaguchi, once again, look at him, he's now closed again, right up on the back of Yuji Kunimoto. So he had dropped away, and over the last 4 laps has been closing that gap right back up again. This will be frustrating for Senna Sakaguchi, because he knows he's quicker. He knows his Ingin car's quicker. He's just got to try and find a way past. I'm sure if he can get past that KCMG car, he will scamper away. And this is the frustrating part of it. He seems quicker in the first half of the lap, just looking at the sector times. It's the second half of the lap where Kunimoto just manages to pull away, and that's that busy sort of roller coaster part of the circuit. It's a slower part of the circuit, so perhaps the KCMG car just a little bit more hooked up through the slightly slower corners. Kunimoto able to build a lead just enough to keep Sakaguchi behind him down the straight. Again, we are looking at the battle for second place between Toshiki Oyu and Nirai Fukatsumi.
There we go. So we've got the slipstream now, plus
Great
the OTS, and around the outside. Will he be able to make it stick all the way around the outside? It's going to be a last of the late breakers. Or is he going to go for the undercut? He's going for the undercut.
Braked himself. Oyu outbrakes himself, so that's job done now. Nirai Fukatsumi will shut the door on Oyu. He'll get it turned in. Now the question is, Adam, can he keep him behind? Nirai Fukatsumi's definitely got the advantage round here. Oyu in the dirty air through this high downforce right-hander. And that is Senna Sakaguchi dropping behind Kenta Yamashita. So we've seen it again. Sakaguchi was all over the back of Yuji Kunimoto. He's dropped back, and now Kenta Yamashita has been able to make it stick for 9th position.
And you can see the gap just opening up. As soon as you're in that little bit of dirty air through that turn 4-5 complex, you just can't do anything about it. And so if you're able to complete the pass by turn 3, using turn 1, getting the undercut, you get such an advantage, especially if the car that you've overtaken is starting to run out of tyres. It makes such a difference just that clean air through that complex. And then especially going through turns 13, 14, 15 and 16, you're really leaning on the tyre and using whatever downforce you've got available. But the high speed stuff at turn 4 and 5 is key to getting a gap before you go to the second back straight from turn 7 to 10.
This for me now is when I would pull Sakaguchi into the pits. He's got no reason, he's just dropping back. The pace is there, but he is just dropping back. So if I were the Ingin boys, it'd be get him in, get a new set of boots on and get him out in some clean air as we look at Ukyo Sasahara putting a move on Toshiki Oyu. So both of the Dandelion cars now running in the top 3. Oyu in the space of 2 laps has gone from 2nd.
He's got a pit.
4th.
I think he's running out of tyres. We're 25 laps into the race. Maybe he's just a little bit too hard on the tyre at the start of the race, and now it's hindering him. The only thing is, obviously, if you come in the pits.
There you go. That's got to be Sakaguchi for sure. Yeah. So the Ingin boys have pulled in Sakaguchi, and I think that's a good move, Adam, because he was stuck up behind that KCMG car of Yuji Kunimoto.
There we go. That was a quicker stop.
just lighting up those rears. And the thing is, you'll be trying to get as much heat in them as possible. But I think that strategically, that's probably a good move from the Ian guys. If he can get out into some clean air,
Exactly.
Hiroki Otsu coming through, there's a bit of traffic, and it'll take a lap and a half to get those tyres up to temperature.
Exactly. You're going to see these guys coming out of the pits. We're going to lock up into turn one. That is not what you want as soon as you come out the pit lane. You've got these brand new, fresh tyres, and you flat spot them straight away. That is not what you want. That is the last thing you need. Now he's going to have to nurse them for the next 15 laps. If he's got a flat spot, he's going to feel that in the steering wheel.
You see the difference in cornering speed. That's Sakaguchi on a brand new set of tyres, but there's no heat in them. We're not allowed to run tyre warmers this year, which I personally love because it opens the whole race up to strategy as we look at Toshiki Oyu coming in. You called it, Adam. Those tyres starting to go off. Remember, he was running second. Both the Dandelion cars have passed him. It's a clean stop from the Nakajima Racing boys, 7 seconds. He's back out. So you're looking at around 40 to 45 seconds is what you need from when you enter the pit lane to when you get out. But then, of course, remember,
the first lap's going to be slow.
Absolutely.
If maybe even the first 2 laps. And the thing is, you can see it wiggling as it comes out of the pits. He's put that power down, and the thing just lights up. See if he gets around the first corner. Look at him just tiptoeing all track limits. You just can't get these things to stop. The thing is, today there is no sun on the track, so it's not like the tarmac's even hot either. And you can see them weaving, just trying to get whatever temperature before they go into turn 3. Turn 4, it will warm the tyre up quite quick as you're loaded, but you do not want to grain that tyre. The undercut here is going to be extremely hard because, of course, for that first lap, you're tiptoeing round, so the car that comes in after is going to end up with quite an advantage, but then, of course, they're going to be slow for their first lap out. So it's going to be extremely tough. The problem is trying to overtake around turn 13, 14, 15 and 16 when you possibly catch them up is not going to be easy.
So if you are just joining us, we are live on Red Bull TV for round 1 of the Super Formula Championship 2021. Our race leader, Tomoki Nojiri in the Mugen car, followed by Nirai Fukatsumi and his Dandelion racing team of Ukyo Sasayawa topping out the top 3 as one of the Kondo racing cars come in.
So
Kenta Yamashita coming in for his mandatory pit stop. This says to me now, Adam, with the guys coming into pit, that most likely that rain that we were expecting may not arrive.
yeah, I think we're fairly confident with 14 laps left. It's probably about 20 minutes of racing. I think they all believe that it's going to be dry all the way to the end. So we're going to see him as he puts down the power. More than likely, the rear of that car's going to wiggle around, see where he merges into the traffic, and he's going to be tiptoeing. Let's watch through turn 1, 2 and 3. Watch the number 1 car just eat him. Look at that, he's gone wide. He went to go for the defense but wasn't able to. It was a little bit too late. And look at the difference just between a cold tire and a tire that is already up to temperature. So I think one that we really need to concentrate on is Yamamoto. He was up into the top 10 earlier. He pitted. He was one of the first to pit 4 new tyres, and I think now the pits are going to be cycling through. It's going to be interesting to see where he ends up. He's had that new tyre, that fresh tyre, for the longest. As long as he hasn't taken too much out of it, I think he's going to end up quite high up there. It just really depends now on whether the guys that are pitting late, whether they can push that bit harder for the end of the race.
Well, Yamamoto, remember, on that fresh set of boots on lap 11, he's still putting in 123. His last lap was a 123.9. As Yuji Kunimoto comes into the pit lane, gets out nice and clean. But at the moment, Yamamoto consistently banging in 123s.
There's a replay.
Everybody else into the 124s. So
doesn't lock up, but just can't get that thing turned. Ends up using all the track limits. You'll see a little wiggle as he comes back on the track, but you just lose so much time. You just can't do anything about it.
yeah, there's absolutely no point in trying. I mean, there you go. That's Kenta Yamashita continuing to try and get heat into the tyres. It's taking around 2 laps. Just looking at the lap times and following the lap times of people after they've pitted, it's taking around 2 laps to get those tyres up to temperature.
And you can see now in the timing, there's plenty of green laps and green sectors. This is the light fuel load and the new tyres. Once they are up to temperature, they're rapid. But the first 3 are still out there. They're still on the old tyres. They've done 29 laps now.
And Tomoki Nojiri's quickest lap was his previous lap with a 1:23.7. So Nojiri still banging in hot laps. Nirai Fukutsumi into the pits in the Dandelion car from second place. Needs a nice clean stop, 7.7 seconds, that's not bad, but his outlap is going to be critical. And he will know over the radio that everybody going into turn one is really struggling. He's just got to get it turned in, keep it neat and tidy, and be patient over the next lap and a half. Get those tyres up to temperature, and then start banging in quick laps.
Exactly, you need to make that turn one nice and wide. Oh, he's locked up.
Lock up.
That cold tyre is lethal.
It's literally the worst thing you can do to a cold tyre as well is lock it up.
Exactly, like...
There's Toshiki Oyu. This will be for track position now.
And he's going to be on his tail. By the end of this lap, he's going to be on his tail. The thing is, if Fukutsumi can get that thing up to temperature,
Oyu's going
look
to
at that gap.
Oyu will drive past him, I think, as we look at Senna Sakaguchi.
I think there might be a change of position, but he has put 19 laps on that tyre, so he might run out of tyre towards the end of the race. But he may have saved his OTS, as he hasn't been overtaking or fighting with anyone. He's just been able to do qualifying lap after qualifying lap. So maybe he's got plenty OTS left that he can get himself out of trouble.
So that's Kenta Yamashita having to go defensive on Kazuya Oshima. Good clean racing, and he manages to just about manage to do it. And then Senna Sakaguchi all over the back of, in fact, he's now past Kazuya Oshima. You can see there he's dropped back. So Sakaguchi once again behind Yamashita. Yamashita and the Kondo Racing boys have made the undercut there from the pit stop over Sakaguchi.
Shishara in Dandelion is in the pits, just exiting. So let's see how he gets on around turn one. So that turn one being a hairpin, and obviously going from, well, as you're coming out of the pits, it's a big braking zone for a cold tyre, and that's why it's catching so many of the drivers out.
The big winner at the moment, Ryo Hirakawa, now up to second place. He hasn't pitted yet. Everybody else making the stop. Tomoki Nojiri obviously hasn't stopped. Ukyo Sasahara has.
Yeah, the top two.
Out of the pits, but at the moment, Ryo Hirakawa needs to bang in quick laps. He's just gone he's just done a 1:24.0. So we've seen. So it is raining. That said wet to me.
Yeah. So does that mean now that you don't have to pit for tyres?
As I understand it, once it's declared a wet race, and we will look for confirmation on this, but as I understand it, once it's declared a wet race, you do not have to make a mandatory pit stop for slicks. So we'll keep an eye on that one. So this could really play into the hands of Tomoki Nojiri. That being said, if it is that wet, he'll be in for wets anyway.
I haven't seen any quick times posted in the last few laps, so maybe we can't see it on the camera, but look how dark it is in the background.
Yeah, that looks great.
That looks like the cloud is falling.
Tomoki Nojiri's last lap was a 1:24.5, but look at all the traffic that he's stuck in now. He'll be begging for everybody. He's lapping these guys. Come on, get out of the way. I'm leading the race here.
He should pit now. Oh no, but maybe he doesn't need to anymore.
It's not wet enough. The blue flags are being waved. There you go. Come on. That was, to be honest, that would have not. That's he's been stuck behind him for nearly half a lap, and he's lapping them. The blue flags were out. It should be.
The thing is, if you've just pitted now,
I should have jumped out of the way there earlier.
If you've just pitted now, and it's now starting to sprinkle, you've got zero temperature in the tyre, and it's now starting to get slippy as well. So that just makes it even harder to get the temp in the tyre. If you've got a hot tyre already, it's easier to maintain that hot temperature.
At the moment, this is working for Tomoki Nojiri. Can't see any umbrellas just yet.
8 laps to go.
This race has really come alive in the second half. Ryo Hirakawa.
We've still got drivers pitting.
Still in second. Well, to be honest, this is a difficult time now because this is where you'll start to feel those tyres going off. Look at the background there. That is grim. I think we're going to see heavy rain in the next 4 to 5 laps here in Fuji.
Miyata's in the pits.
Tomo Miyata coming in for a set of slicks.
Cold tyres, let's see how he gets on.
So Ritomo Miyata sticks on a new set of slicks. declared a wet race as Ukyo Sasahara goes defensive. Naoki Yamamoto making his way back up through the field.
Oh, he's on the outside. Can he make it stick? This is going to be... Oh, he's done it. He's done it.
Great drive from Naoki Yamamoto. Confidence in the tyre, that's what's working for him there. We saw Sasahara just struggling to get the heat into him. Look how he's just absolutely scampered away. The other thing will be, you can see the front of the car just moving around for Naoki Yamamoto. The other thing will be the confidence that you've got in the car in these conditions and how confident you are in the wet. It's when it's the car starting to move around underneath you, that's when you experience pays and when you can really start to lean on the car. For me,
look how fast.
He's caught on cold tyres.
Yeah, and he just can't do anything about it. The thing is, Yamamoto's tyres are up to temp, and the other guys just can't get any temperature. So it still looks like we're having to pit for the mandatory stop. I think it's only when it's fully declared wet that you don't have to come in for that stop once you're on wet tyres. But as we're still on slicks, it looks like everyone still has to complete their stop. So there's only 3 cars left that haven't pitted: Nijiri, Hirawa, and Nakayama, that have not pitted for their mandatory stop yet.
Well, this is playing into the hands of Tomoki Nojiri at the moment. It's still
you can see them weaving on the straight, just getting whatever temp they can. They're desperate to get temperature into the tyre. It's just not working. The temperature window is not there right now.
Well, Nojiri's last lap was 1:24.1, and there he is coming down the straight, just passing Sena Sakaguchi's Yingin car. At the moment, Tomoki Nojiri leads from Ryo Hirakawa. Sho Tsuboi up into third, and he has stopped. Lap down at the moment, obviously, because he has stopped, but Sho Tsuboi, this has worked for him at the moment.
Has Yamamoto pulled off the perfect strategy? He is just cutting through the traffic right now. He's up 8 places from where he started, and he's just going forwards. People are coming out of the pits and they can't do anything about it. He's just driving around the outside of them right now.
Well, Tsuboi, as well, as a man who's just stopped, and he'll be desperately trying to get temperature into the tyres. We might see him tumbling down the order. There you go.
Or maybe the strategy is just to go until the very end of the race and put the cold tyre on and just nurse it around for the last 2 laps. Maybe it's taking 4 or 5 laps to get these things up to temp.
We've seen it done. We've seen it done in the past. You know, Nick Cassidy, as we said, in Okayama last year, he ran the car right up until the end of the pit window on a single set of tyres and was still continuing to put hot laps in. And you know, we talk about the longevity of these tyres. Remember, we are using fuel, so when the car is getting lighter, that in effect puts less pressure on the tyres as well. The tyre is less loaded through the corner. There's less weight leaning on the car. There's less load going through it, so it tends to be kinder on the tyres as well. We're seeing all that coming into play. If I was Hirakawa now, the import boys would be looking at exactly what the Mugen team are doing.
Only 6 laps to go, and there's still 3 that have not pitted: Nojiri, Hirawa and Nakayama.
It's definitely getting damper out there, isn't it? You can see through
It's getting dark.
Through the higher speed corners. They're not as committed as they were before, and Nojiri still putting in 124s, although it's 124.7, his quickest a 123.7, so lapping a little bit slower. That could be down to traffic. The real person I want to look at, Naoki Yamamoto, the 124.8. So they're still pacing the circuit. I don't believe at the moment that we're anywhere near wets. This is just a case of nursing on slicks and confidence, the confidence that you've got in the car.
Just had confirmation. We believe that you don't have to pit now. So maybe the first 3 can just stay out all the way until the end.
Well, there you go. That's what we suspected. Once it's declared a wet race, we are being told that there is no mandatory pit stop required. So for Nojiri, Hirakawa,
if that's the case, some people have made...
Nakayama, it's the perfect situation for them. As Yamamoto continues to work his way up through the grid, up through the field. He's shown fantastic race pace today. Great battle between himself, managing to keep Ukyo Sasahara behind him. But Yamamoto has shown, just saying, superb race pace today. He only managed to qualify 16th.
If that's the case, Nakayama has ended up with the best strategy. He's up 12 positions from when he started, and if you do not have to pit now, then they are up the road.
Yeah, Nakayama starting 15th on the grid in his Kondo racing car, currently running in third.
With 11 seconds to P4. So even with the tyre degradation, you are not going to lose that time unless you have a big error. You're not going to lose 2 seconds a lap.
No, these tyres, if you don't have to stop, will run to the end of the race. It just comes down to the weather now. So look at Toshihiki Oyu. Had a fantastic first half of the race. Took the lead from Najiri, led for the first 8 laps. Now finds himself in fourth.
Nigeria is just cruising. He's now opened the gap up to 7.5 seconds. Just seems to be in another league this weekend.
Hirakawa's still on the move though. Hirakawa pushing hard. His quickest at 1:24 dead. Remember, the only people who've managed to break into the 1:23s has been Tomoki Najiri. We've seen Toshiki Oyu with a 1:23.2.
So with only 4 laps left, everyone's still got their green roll loop. This means that they've got over... Oh, a little wiggle into turn 1. That was pretty close. Just snatched it on the downshift. You just saw the back of the car getting a little bit loose, but not too much time lost. But as I was saying, so all the roll loops are still green, which means they've got more than 20 seconds. What's going on here?
This is Hirakawa lapping Tatiana Calderon, and he'll be frustrated with that because she really, again, should have jumped out of the way going into turn 5. And he's desperately now chasing Tomoki Najiri, so the last thing he needs is getting stuck in the traffic, in the slower traffic. Just be begging for people in front of him to get out of his way so he can get his head down and continue to close the gap to Najiri. It has extended to 8.8 seconds. So he did lose a chunk of time stuck behind Calderon. As the rain continues to fall here in Fuji, but listen, you wouldn't now, unless it absolutely buckets it down. There's no advantage to be had from coming in and sticking a set of wets on it. You nurse the car to the end, and you can see that weaving. Even that's on guys who've been on hot tyres, who've been on a new set of tyres for the last 10 laps. That says to me that track temperature is really down, Adam, and they are losing tyre temperature specifically through the slower part of the circuit.
You can see it, Nakayama's 1.5 seconds off his fastest, and it just looks like they're struggling to keep the tyre within the window. If you're on a new tyre and you're still trying to get that thing up to temperature, you're just going to be losing time at the moment.
Yeah, the rain coming down here in Fuji with just 3 laps remaining.
Was it an early call with that wet flag, with the wet sign? It's
you can take that one up with the officials. But for sure...
Oh, we got a car going slow. Who was that?
This is the Mugen boys.
I think that was the Impul.
That's the Impul car of Yui Sekaguchi, I believe.
No flat tyres, just crawling round.
Love to see what happened there. That's Tomoki Nojiri. That looked to me like the Mugen boys.
Was that another car just stopped on the outside?
Well, I want to know why the Mugen guys are we going to see Tomoki Nojiri peel into the pits? Yes, no, there's a last-minute decision. Oh, there we go, somebody into the barrier.
That is
one of the Yingin cars.
Otsu's in the pits.
So that is either Sho Tsuboi.
Otsu's in the pits for a second.
It's Tsuboi.
Oh, there we go, the rain now, we can see on the screen, it is definitely wet.
So it's game over for Tsuboi. In comes Ryo Hirakawa. Now, what are they going to bolt onto that car? And why is, and that must says to me, if we put a set of wets on that it's really it's really coming down. What's he gone for? That's a set of set of slicks.
Are they expecting a safety car? That car has stopped near the barrier, so are they expecting a safety car? And then maybe it's going to be a 1-lap dash to the end, but I think it's too late.
I don't think we'll see a safety car there. It looked like it wasn't really in a position. It was in a strange position. But what I want to know is, why is Hirakawa suddenly stopped? We were told under the new regulations that if it's declared a wet race, the mandatory pit stop is no longer required. So why has Hirakawa stopped? These are the worst conditions to be on a cold tyre. in the wet, and that's a cold slick.
It's just maximum risk now. Like, Najeri's going to be going around. Like, for him, he's just thinking this is the last thing he wants. When you are leading a race, you just want the thing to go green all the way, and you can't wait for that checkered flag.
Lap and a half remaining. In comes Najeri. So everybody making their mandatory pit stop.
So it obviously means that it wasn't declared fully wet. It was just a bit of a warning. It is now looking slippy. Everyone's doing 1 minute 30s.
Well, provided this is a clean stop, there's absolutely no reason why Najeri will not get it out. Don't stall it.
There we go.
Bouncing it off the limiter and lighting up those rears, just trying to draw as much temperature into them straight away as he can do. But for now, Najeri should just cruise around.
He had an 8.5 second lead as he entered the pits, so let's see how that looks in a lap's time. He should have the advantage on the first lap, but I think it's going to take him 2 laps to get up to temperature. But with only 2 laps left in the race, I think unless anything goes drastically wrong, I think he's safe.
Well, it's this man. This is the man, Toshiki Oyu, who needs to absolutely get the hammer down now. He's crossed the line, and it looked like around 45 seconds. Obviously, Hirakawa's now dropped down to 4th, Nirai Fukatsumi 3rd, but Oyu, who's on hot tyres, has got 45 seconds to close the gap on Najeri, who is on cold tyres. So Najeri has got to get those tyres up to temperature.
Look at that train. So the Kondo racing cars just tripping up some of the others with warmer tyres. Everyone's still got their green lights. They've still got more than 20 seconds of OTS left. I'm amazed we haven't seen. That was pretty close. Going to be trying to get whatever slipstream they can into turn 1. But the thing is, you've got to be careful on the brakes. If you are behind another car, you've got less downforce and you've got cold tyres, it's going to be very easy to make a mistake and lock up.
Well, this is the fight for 11th at the moment. Kazuki Nakajima leads that fight. What I want to know is, though, how far behind is Oyu from Tomoki Najeri on those cold tyres?
Green sector 2 for Oyu.
Yeah, Oyu would have been told to absolutely get the hammer down. There's Najeri desperately trying to draw heat into them. 1 lap remaining here. There he is, he's closed right up. Now that was 46 seconds. It's now 3.8. So if Najeri cannot get those tyres up to temperature, it's a final lap dash. Toshiki Oyu is already on a warm set of boots in that Nakajima racing car. Can he, over the next lap, reel in the Mugen car of Tomoki Najeri, who is still trying to get temperature into those tyres?
Before the pit stops, it was 8.5 seconds. He's taken 5 seconds out of him, and there is 1 lap to go. It does look like it's got up to temperature, but he has lost 1 second in sector 1. That's now going to be 2.5 seconds.
He's got this job done. I mean, look at that. You can see Oyu's on the OTS. He's doing
sector 2, another second.
He's doing everything he can, but for me now, he's running out of places, Adam. He's running out of places to get past him. It's going to be so close, but Najeri should get this job done. Again, you can see the gap coming down.
Look at that. That is reaching distance almost.
So frustrating for Toshiki Oyu, but Tomoki Najeri has got the job done here at Fuji Speedway. He comes onto the main straight for the final time. Look at that, the gap has closed right up, but it's job done for Tomoki Najeri, the man who started on pole here in Fuji, wins round 1 of the Super Formula Championship here in Japan, and what a drive it was. And the thing is, Adam, it's so close. Nirai Fukatsumi confirmed in 3rd with Toshiki Oyu in 2nd.
That was a great,
what a drive.
That was a great comeback for Oyu. Like, earlier in the race, he was dropping back, and so for him to, when they pitted when they did, and just put in those times, that was the perfect timing. He managed to get them up to temperature before it started raining. You can see the excitement on the guys on the pit wall. That's brilliant.
Fantastic start to the year for the Mugen boys, as the rest of the field stroll in. A good drive too from Ryo Hirakawa. He started 7th, confirmed in 4th, but it's that man who is our race winner. He came so close to getting the championship done last year. He said at the start of the year he's absolutely determined to get the job done in 2021. He stuck it on pole, and he has converted that pole into a race win. Tomoki Nojiri wins here in Fuji. Toshiki Oyu confirmed in second. Mirai Fukutsumi third. Ryo Hirakawa fourth. Ukyo Sasahara, great start to the year for him in fifth. Remember, he did start in third.
Yamamoto in sixth.
From
All the
16th
way.
on the grid.
I know, 10 positions. That strategy there, I think, was pretty spot on.
Rutomo Miyata confirmed in seventh. Yuji Kunimoto in eighth. Sena Sakaguchi ninth. He drops 4 places. He actually qualified in fifth. He'll be disappointed with that. And Kazuya Oshima in the rookie racing car. Great race for him. He started 17th, closes out the top 10, but it's been all about this man, Tomoki Nojiri. And if, Adam, there'd been one more lap, it would have been a lot closer.
They nailed that strategy. They had that under control. They knew that if they'd pitted earlier, it would have been another lap just trying to get that temperature into those tyres, and they knew that if they can just basically do the last 2 laps, like those tyres will still not be up to temperature, but it doesn't matter. They got across the line and they won.
Yeah, it was a great final lap and a half from Tomoki Nojiri. It's all about just being patient, being mature. It's in those situations where you can come out of the pit lane, as we saw, lock a front, run wide, and you drop another 2 or 3 seconds. If he'd made any mistakes like that, then Oyu would have got the job done. I'm sure he'd have passed him. It was a great, mature drive from Tomoki Nojiri. He was patient, he took his time.
I think 2 more sectors and it would have been there. Like that last lap, it was super close. He lost the second in each sector, but he'd done enough to take the win.
And as well, listen, Toshiki Oyu on that last lap, they got on the radio, the team would have got on the radio and said, hammer down, push, push, push. And we saw green sectors coming in from him, so it was a great response from Toshiki Oyu. But it's the beauty of Super Formula, and it's the beauty of the fact that this is a one-make series. It doesn't rely massively on downforce in the same way that Formula One does. You don't have the dirty air effect quite as much as you do with those other single-seater championships, and that's why you get such close racing, and Super Formula delivers again. The top 3 separated by just 3.7 seconds, but it's that man, Tomoki Nojiri, who is our round 1 winner. What a way to start the year, Adam. Pole and a win.
Maximum points.
And it just gives you so much confidence, doesn't it? He'll be delighted with that, well deserved. But going forward in the year, it just gives you confidence knowing that you've got the pace to stick it on the pole and the race pace as well. You know, he can go away going, we've got qualifying pace and we've got race pace.
Yeah, for sure. And like, as you said, it is the perfect start. Look at that. Those guys are absolutely buzzing. They've worked hard all winter and it's just shown.
Fantastic sportsmanship from Mirai Fukutsumi and Toshiki Oyu, congratulating Tomoki Nojiri. And there's Ryo Hirakawa. Good drive from him. 7th to 4th today. This is where you see the fitness of these drivers, because it is a very physical circuit. But you know, you used to see Michael Schumacher getting out of a Formula One car, and he looked like he just been sat down for his lunch. So fit, and it's the same with these guys. And there we can see a very disappointed Sho Tsuboi, the man who won here last year, who stuck it in the barriers.
Do we think that was a contact with Saguchi, or do we think it was track conditions just got a little too tricky out there?
I don't know. I mean, certainly for sure, track conditions definitely played a part towards the end of the race, didn't I? But unless we get a replay of that, we will never know. But disappointing for Sho Tsuboi. But it's about these top 3, Tomoki Nojiri, Toshiki Oyu and Mirai Fukutsumi, who are our podium finishers here in Fuji. All the reactions to come from round 1 of the Super Formula after this short break. Do not go away.
Check out the Motor Channel on Red Bull TV. Motorsports at its finest, all over the globe. Download the Red Bull TV app for free and sign in to watch all of our content offline. Download the app now. The Wales Rally GP. One of the toughest events on the World Rally Championship calendar. TV sports reporter and racing enthusiast Mike Chen has decided he's going to race in it.
Mike Chen.
Driving.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Follow Mike's every move, from training to racing. Going straight sideways. Now available on Red Bull TV. Becky Evans.
Oh my God.
AKA Queen Bee.
I'm so excited.
AKA the Queen of Cars, is back with a new season.
This year I'm going to prove I can make it to grassroots competition. What's the advice?
Seat time.
Seat time.
Seat time.
Seat time. It's going to be me to prove that I've got what it takes.
Drift Queen Season 2, now available on Red Bull TV. After the global lockdown,
Virus, pandemic.
National emergency. Formula One has been cancelled.
the newly named Scuderia AlphaTauri worked relentlessly to get ready for the new Formula One season.
The world's getting back together again and we can get racing again.
We are back in the game.
Open the doors. Scuderia AlphaTauri, now available on Red Bull TV.
Cars to me, it's just an addiction. This is beyond the wildest dream.
I was born to race. It's everything. I don't feel you can get that same feeling anywhere else.
Oh my God.
You're on board for the greatest motorsport ride on the planet.
We want to make this as loud, as fast, as crazy as possible.
The very best of European drifting.
The toughest hard enduro event. Welcome everybody to Straight Rhythm. It's out of control. Oh my goodness! Hold on to that thing.
My heart has never raced that fast in my life.
MotoGP is underway. Just send it. Why not? That was awesome.
You don't have time to think, just drive.
Wide open! What a motorcycle race! What a Grand Prix! That is unbelievable.
The Motor Channel on Red Bull TV. He is one of the greatest racers of all time. 2018 was his last season as an active rider in MotoGP. An intimate look at the highs and lows of an incredible career. Danny Pedrosa, The Silence of the Samurai. Now available on Red Bull TV. From rookie to top rider, the story of MotoGP talent Brad Binder. Fighting his way up the ranks.
And he goes fastest. Oh!
At the beginning, things were never easy.
An intimate look into his life, both on track and off.
I'm so lucky I have the most amazing family.
Brad Binder, becoming 33. Now available on Red Bull TV. Once again, the world's best riders team up for Moto 9.
9? Are you kidding me? I can't believe they're doing another one of these.
Hit the trail with Dungey, Muskin, and many more.
Riding dirt bikes, to me, is about the homies, and it's a way to harness that inner kid in all of us.
Every piece of the dirt bike world in one epic ride. Moto 9, the movie, now available on Red Bull TV.
We're going to transform the Lamborghini Huracan into an absolute drift weapon. This is beyond the wildest dream. We're going to drop a grinder through it, wide body it, slam it. That's a typical Mike. Always find your limit, go back from there.
Hey! Hey! Fire!
My heart has never raced that fast in my life.
Drift Lamborghini, now available on Red Bull TV.
Welcome back to round one of the Super Formula Championship, and what a round it was. Absolutely superb. It always happens, comes right down to the final lap, doesn't it? Before we progress any further, Adam, listen, let's take a look at the final standings from what was an absolutely spectacular race. There we go. So Tomoki Nojiri confirmed as our race winner by just 1.5 seconds from Toshiki Oyu. Coming into that final lap, the gap was over 3 seconds. Nirai Fukatsumi confirmed in third. Ryo Hirakawa in the Impul car, fourth ahead of Ukyo Sasahara. Naoki Yamamoto in sixth ahead of Ritomo Miyata. Then comes Yuji Kunimoto. Sena Sakaguchi started fifth. He'll be disappointed with his 9th place finish. And Kazuya Oshima in the rookie racing car closing out the top 10. And moving down, we've got Kazuki Nakajima, who we saw going off at turn 5 on lap 1, followed by Kenti Yamashita. Tatiana Calderon, good day for her, in 13th position ahead of Yuichi Nakayama. Kazuto Kitaka, 15th ahead of Hiroaki Otsu. Bad start from him. Yui Sekaguchi in 17th and showed Tsuboi dropping it on lap 5. Adam, what a race it was. Listen, Tomoki Nojiri, superb job from him, wasn't it? From lap 1 through to the end of the race, I think it was a smart, intelligent, mature drive.
Yeah, definitely. He controlled that. He dropped back into second near the start. Oyu ended up struggling just a little bit, probably a third the way into the race, and he took advantage of that. He pulled out a huge gap, ended up on the oldest tyres, but came in right at the end and he brought it over the line. Of course, you could see them struggling with the weather conditions. It wasn't easy, but in the end, they delivered.
Yeah, fantastic drive from Tomoki Nojiri and the Mugen boys as well. Absolutely on it from strategy. The other thing that was super impressive, I thought, was the way that the guys were able to manage those tyres, because the circuit was getting wetter and wetter with every single lap. And that was brave for Mugen to hang on right until the end and send Nojiri out on a cold set of tyres, and we saw everybody struggling on those cold tyres, didn't we? And he ended up with just a second and a half to play with.
Well, that's it. If there'd been another lap, it could have been a whole different story.
I'm sure
it's just great that it ends up going down to the fine line all the way to the end. That is what you want, and this is why we live and breathe motorsport, because it brings this excitement all the way to the finish.
Yeah, fantastic race. An electric way to start 2021 Super Formula Championship. And I believe we can hear from our race winner, Tomoki Nojiri, now.
Congratulations to winning the first round here at Fuji. Thank you very much. Right at the beginning, Oyu passed you, but you were quite relaxed, right? Yes, I knew that Oyu would be very fast and I knew that he would push. And I made a mistake in the beginning, but I did not rush it. So I tried to continue and I knew that I can attack again. So I tried to control my pace. And in the last round, did it rain quite a lot? Yes, it was scary. But you were still relaxed, right? Yes, well, relaxed, I don't know, but I'm not sure if it's the right place to make this comment, but in this kind of race, you know, if you have blue flags, we also had this problem before. I think we have to be very clear about this, that we have to have a common understanding about how to handle these blue flags. Because we are also role models, we are examples, and as Super Formula, we are a top category, so we also have to show this and be a role model. So that was what I was thinking during racing. Your team director, Mr. Tanaka, he sent out a message before the season to get on pole position and win, and you could do that, right? Yes, it was a good start into this season. And Fuji here at Super Formula is quite a difficult track, also for Honda. But you see that all Hondas are on the podium. So for us as a team and for Honda too, it's a great day. Congratulations. Thanks for your support.
Great drive from Tomoki Nojiri, wasn't it? And obviously delighted. Fantastic start to the season for him. And we were saying before the break, it gives you the confidence to go forward, to push on. When you've stuck it on pole and then you convert that pole into a race win under difficult conditions. Remember, it was raining at the second part of the race. Certainly the last 5 or 6 laps, incredibly tricky conditions. To be able to convert that gives you confidence for the rest of the year.
As far as weekends go, that was perfect. It was basically quickest in both free practices. They nailed qualifying and the race. It just doesn't get any better than that. And didn't quite get the fastest lap, but in the end, I think you can let that slip as they got maximum points for everything else.
Yeah, the only place, we'll see the start. I was going to say the only place where Nojiri didn't get the race right was the start. Toshiki Oyu just got the jump on him going down into turn 1, and Oyu on the dirty side of the track as well. So it was a fantastic start from Toshiki Oyu, and this is Tomoki Nojiri getting it back round the outside. So he's got around the outside, and then he knows he's got the inside into turn 11, and it was job done from that moment on. It was a great, clean overtaking manoeuvre.
Exactly, and that was a real key point. That's when Oyu started to struggle a little bit, and he dropped back, and this is where he was just able to extend that lead, and that's what gave him the margin for the end of the race.
The great thing as well, it was clean, mature driving from certainly Toshiki Oyu, and who doesn't have the same amount of experience as Tomoki Nojiri. We see here, this is Nojiri's pit stop. But it was good, clean driving, good, mature driving from some of the rookies that we saw today, and that was Nojiri getting a good, clean stop, which was so important. This is towards the end of the race now, and you can see Nojiri desperately trying to get heat into his tyres. This was the penultimate lap, and Oyu closing all the time.
He'd have been on that OTS button, just pressing, getting whatever power you can out of it, just knowing that, just trying to keep ahead on that last lap.
If there'd have been one more lap to play with, Oyu would have been all over the gearbox of Tomoki Nojiri's Mugen car. There's no question about it. And as well for Toshiki Oyu, that'll have been incredibly frustrating, knowing that he's on a set of tyres that are warm. He's got more grip to play with than Tomoki Nojiri, and he'll have been desperate. We saw all his sectors going green on that final lap, so it was a great response from him.
Yeah, for sure. He was just pushing. At the end of the day, when you're chasing, you want the race to continue as long as possible to try and get that position, but he knew that there was only one way that he'd have the opportunity to win that race, and that is to push like hell for the last few laps and try and go green sector. But of course, with the changing conditions, it just wasn't easy for anyone, and you saw it when the tyres were cold. They were a nightmare coming out of the pits.
Good drive, a good weekend for Toshiki Oyu in the Nakajima racing car. His teammate, Naoki Yamamoto, who of course is the 2020 Super Formula champion, he's the man everyone was expecting to do well this year, struggled in qualifying, and he made an early pit stop.
And it didn't go to plan either. That rear left tyre just wouldn't go on. We're not sure what happened there, but in the end, even on a bad weekend, he ends up finishing 6th.
Yeah, great result for Naoki Yamamoto, and it was that pace after the pit stop, and where he was, once he got those tyres up to temperature, that he was able to really convert into race pace. And he was 23. He was in the 123s as well, when other people were mid 124s, high 124s. Yamamoto in the clean air, because he'd taken that early stop, made it count, and he started jumping up through the pack. And for him, I think actually that's probably, he couldn't really have asked much more from this weekend after such a dire qualifying session.
Exactly, and this is why he's been champion 3 times with 2 different teams. He's managed to just convert a poor qualifying, and he's just dug deep, and he's ended up coming all the way through. And as I said, like, the pit stop didn't go to plan, yet he still managed to get into 6th. There might have been an opportunity for a 5th there if the pit stop had been a little bit smoother. But in the end, I think they should be pretty happy with that weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. You need, in Super Formula, to 100% get those pit stops right. It's much, much easier to find time in the pit stop than it is out on the circuit. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to get those 100% right. We saw it with Naoki Yamamoto this time last year. It was a slow start to the year for him, but he was there at the final hour and did convert into a championship win. So let's see what he can do as the year progresses. I believe we can cross over to our podium ceremony. A well-deserved top spot for Tomoki Nojiri, and they'll be absolutely delighted, the Mugen team, both with the performance of Nojiri and his teammate Hiroki Otsu. Obviously didn't go his way during the race, but a great qualifying session as well from him, and it all comes down to experience. It's so close here in Super Formula. Nojiri joined on the podium by Toshiki Oyu and Nirai Fukutsumi from the Dandelion Racing team.
Looked like Honda had the slight edge this weekend, but that can easily change depending on circuit conditions.
Congratulations to Tomoki Nojiri and the Mugen team. A fantastic start to the year, and interestingly, it's Honda units topping out the top three here, Adam. As we said, those Honda engines absolutely singing here at Fuji. Ryo Hirakawa, the only driver in a Toyota to get it into the top 5. And as we head to Suzuka in a couple of years' time, that man's just, as you said, he's going to be absolutely beaming, full of confidence, knowing that he can convert and he can get the job done. There's a little bit of pressure on his shoulders, maybe.
Yeah, but for the next 20 days, they won round 1, and it's looking good. So they're all going to be trying to figure out how to get the advantage for the next one, the 24th and 25th at Suzuka.
I think that's the key thing as well, isn't it? It is just, you know, being mature, going back, looking at data, and there's so much that you can draw from data, isn't there? When you go back and you compare all the graphs, and you can see where you're quicker, certainly relative to your teammate, and where the car works. Is it in high-speed corners? Is it in low-speed corners? And you're able to just glean so much information from that, and it's so important.
Yeah, for sure, and you've got to use everything to your advantage now. It's not just the video and the data, there's also all the sim training that drivers are doing. Obviously, it's a huge thing that started last year for the home sims, and it's everyone's just doing whatever they can to get that advantage, and you've got to, otherwise, if you're not doing this, you just end up falling down the result page.
Well, he's got 3 weeks to prepare, because round 2 of the 2021 Super Formula Championship is up at Suzuka. And what a race meeting it is. It is a legendary circuit. Formula One's been going there for the last 40 years. April the 24th and the 25th, we'll be back live for qualifying and the race. And boy, what a race it is. The full Grand Prix circuit, and it's a real power circuit, isn't it? Suzuka relies an awful lot on the power unit and full commitment from the drivers.
Exactly, and it's also about fine-tuning that car. Through the first complex, you are at maximum downforce just to try and get whatever advantage you can. But with that, of course, you end up with more drag on the straights, and that's where you need that power unit to help overtake or get the advantage on the others.
Well, it's not just Super Formula that you can watch on Red Bull TV. We are full all the time of motorsport action. In 2 weeks' time, it's race 1 and race 2 of the Red Bull MotoGP Rookies Cup. So we're getting that underway on April the 17th and the 18th, live right here on Red Bull TV. Future MotoGP champions guaranteed on that grid. Don't miss that. So much to look forward to on Red Bull TV. Really, there's nothing left to say other than congratulations to Tomoki Nojiri. What a start to the year for him. Can he get the job done as we head to Suzuka? Adam, it's been an absolute pleasure having you in the commentary box. Thank you very much. Have you enjoyed it?
It's honestly, I was nervous at the start, but with you controlling everything, it's been brilliant. So thank you very much for having us.
You've done a fantastic job. It's been nice to sit beside you and not compete with you on a racetrack for once. It's been great fun. And for those of you who's been asking, Plowie will be back with us, but the reason he couldn't be here this weekend is he has just become a dad yesterday. So congratulations to Martin Plowman and his wife, Nicole, and also to the production team. This is a difficult thing to bring to fruition. The race is in Japan, the production team's in Austria, and we're in the UK. So a superb job from them. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing you round one of the Super Formula Championship 2021. Thank you so much for your company. We hope you've enjoyed your coverage. We'll be back in 3 weeks' time for Suzuka. Until then, from Adam and myself, goodbye.